Imagine the business you've spent the best part of your life building closes its doors at the end of your leadership. How would you feel? How would you cope? Will you be proud of this result, or will the collateral damage leave you devastated with your years of hard work and dedication going to waste? Wouldn't it feel like you had abandoned your team and those that depend upon you? Is this the legacy that you really want to leave? The reason why over 2/3 of businesses close their doors after the current leadership team leaves is because they have not transferred the institutional knowledge and the business savvy required to carry on their organization. So if you stopped a truck today, what would happen to your organization tomorrow? Consider all the wisdom that you've gained through your years of building and nurturing your company. Who in your organization will have the will and the ability to continue your legacy? So what would you be willing to do now to ensure your company's continued success? Unless you've passed along your knowledge onto others and built a strong leadership team, the void that you leave when you exit will almost certainly cause your legacy to close its doors. As CEO of my last firm, I grew a regional engineering firm from to a multinational organization that designed the Olympic facilities in London and Atlanta. And over my tenure as a majority owner, I built a leadership team that had the will and ability to continue its legacy, and they eventually purchased this company from me for cash and have continued to grow and succeed. Since that time, I've since also authored a book called Heroic Ownership and founded the Ardent Group, and we help business owners successfully exit their business while protecting their legacy. Over the next couple of minutes, I want to introduce you to the Heroic Ownership philosophy and give you a simple framework which you can use to protect your legacy and plan for your successful exit. See, it all starts with authentic conversations. I suspect you have a really good gut about what is going to happen in your organization next year. But I don't know how to transfer gut. So you see, I would submit that what leaders do is they manage change. If nothing ever changed, you'd come into your organization tomorrow, you wouldn't need leaders, and they would keep doing the work that they were doing today and tomorrow and the next day and be successful, and things would continue to go really well until something changed. So how are we teaching our leadership team to be able to anticipate the future and position your company so they can successfully navigate the challenges that face them ahead? So how are you transferring this gut to the next generation? How are you providing the information necessary so they can make their own gut? Sometimes it might be something simple as a dashboard or surveys, or what's more important, who you know or what you know. How are you transferring that Rolodex and that knowledge you have to be able to pick up the phone and just make something happen? See, our jobs as leaders is to maximize the peaks and minimize the valleys. So how are you creating that narrative? How are you giving them the ability to manage that journey without you at the helm? So the second question is, how do you identify those that have the will and the ability to lead? You know, even on my best day with all the assessment tools that we have in business today, I was able to get the right person in the right seat on the bus about 70% of the time. Now, if we're really good at getting the right person in the right seat on the bus 70% of the time, what makes us think we're going to be any better at picking the next leader? So what if instead of picking that next leader, we created a leadership team bench of candidates inside of our organization and let the natural leaders rise? And then when it comes time for a new leader, it's self-evident. Now, if we pick the next leader and we're wrong, what happens? Is it a pretty devastating impact on an organization? Absolutely. What happens to all the other candidates that felt that they were in line to become leader? Oftentimes we lose them. They get jettisoned over the side. But when we let that natural leader emerge, they're a part of the team, they're a part of that buy-in. And I have found that we're much more successful at keeping our successful leadership team together when we transfer the leadership to the next generation, when we let the natural leader emerge. Another really critical step is institutional knowledge. Where do we store most of our institutional knowledge and business knowledge today? I would submit we store most of it in our brains. And where's the worst place to store that institutional knowledge? I'd also say we store it is in our brains as well. You see, General McChrystal said it this way. He said, knowledge is not power. Sharing knowledge is power. I remember as a young businessman, my father once said to me, he said, Scott, don't ever write anything down. Somebody might take it Is any of that philosophy in our corporations today where we don't want to share the information so somebody can't use it against us? I would submit that it's just the opposite. We need to make that information instantaneously available to our team members so they can represent our organization in a knowledgeable manner and make timely and effective decisions on our behalf. So how do we create that knowledge base so everybody has that information at the speed of thought to be able to represent our organization effectively? Now, all that organization, all that information comes with a born-on date. Think of it this way. If one of your team members brings you a great idea and you say, that's the best idea I've ever heard of, we need to do that. And 90 days later, nothing happens. And they bring you another great idea. You go, that's the best idea I've ever heard of. We need to do that in every one of these situations. And 90 days later, nothing happens. What do you think the likelihood is of them bringing you a third great idea? Yeah. Often what I see is one of two things happen. Either they switch their brains off and they're just there to do merely what they're being told, or they leave and go find a home and a place that is conducive to the type of culture that they're looking for. What's happening in your organization? How can you create a changed culture where you can empower each and every one of your team members to help you get better in a thoughtful, organized, planned way, so it's just not mass chaos with everybody trying to change? So how can you apply those best business practices to have an effective change management system? So now we get to near the end of the journey, and this is where it's time to start transferring that real ownership. And I see two types of CEOs kind of go at this. One is they go, here it is. I've spent my entire life building this company. It's perfect. Now don't change a thing, and don't screw it up. Or another kind of CEO might go, here it is. This is the best I could make it, and I trust you to make it even better. What do you think has the highest likelihood of success? It's often hard for founding owners sometimes to make that transition, because the reason they were so successful is they're really good at the job. But now what they have to do as a leader and being able to create that leadership team for the future is doing the right thing, teaching them how to carry on that legacy into the future. And if you try and do this in the last 45 days of your leadership and wait till the very end, it's been my experience, you take your leadership team out of their comfort zone where they're functional, they will be capable of leading change. You take them into the sheer terror zone where they just shut down. So this is a matter of teaching our leadership team how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. How do we keep building their capacity and their ability to handle more over time? So at the end of the journey, they have the confidence and the wherewithal to be able to push all their chips in and bet on themselves that they have what it takes to lead this organization going forward. Would you like your organization to make timely and accurate decisions to successfully continue into the future after you? Wouldn't this be much better? Wouldn't this be a much better legacy to leave than a company which fails after your leadership tenure is finished? I have helped companies transfer institutional knowledge and business savvy required to empower the leadership teams to become owners, whether figuratively or literally, so they can continue your legacy. You may review some of the detailed case studies on this page, but one of the things I'm most proud of is my own team. I just recently got a phone call from one of my team members thanking me. They said, Scott, I just paid off my stock loan that we used to purchase the firm from you. And I got that behind me, and I just want to say thank you. That meant a tremendous amount to me. They've continued to build on my legacy. They've doubled the size of the company in the last 5 years. They've opened up 2 new offices, and they've started a brand new business line since taking ownership. And I'm very proud of all of those things. You see, my definition of success wasn't just money. While money was important, and I needed to be responsible and make a good business decision, I was also very in tune to the legacy of that company. I was also very in tune to paying it forward to the employees and the customers and taking all care of all those that depend upon me. You see, I view business ownership and leadership as a tremendous privilege and a tremendous responsibility. I wanted to know I was leaving the company in good hands that could carry on my legacy, and I did. What would you want this for your company? See, time flies, and it goes by very fast. Even though you've probably got many good years ahead of you, before you want to exit your business, is now the perfect time to start preparing for it? I would submit too often we confuse the urgent with the important, and we wait for tomorrow, and one day tomorrow isn't here. See, businesses who survive the transition after the current leadership team leaves have a proven plan which takes 3 to 5 years to execute. So if you would like to avoid becoming one of the 2/3 of businesses who close their doors, I strongly suggest you take a little time out of your day now to take the next steps and schedule a conversation with me. Let's investigate the possibilities and outline what success looks like for you. How can you build a leadership team for the future? How can you transfer the knowledge and business savvy to the next team? And when can you exit knowing your legacy is protected? Please schedule your no obligation discovery strategy session now. I look forward to our continued conversations.